Hello and welcome to your timeless love variant reading, where we discuss however love may be absent or present in your life. And you are here welcoming yourself to a collective insight with me, Seventh, to see whether or not anything within this reading is meant for you in any way, shape, or form. Please utilize your discernment to take all the bits and pieces that do resonate with you and leave anything with the reading behind, should it not resonate with you. Okay, for this is again a very collective insight and not a one-to-one personal reading. All right, in regards to who I am Seventh that reads these energies for you. I go by Seventh, or I'm also Master Seventh, that is a master healer that provides remote wellness alignments and tarot intuitive insights, such as this. Should you be inclined to know more or to browse, feel free to check out the description box below for more of that detail. Please be mindful that I have several various forms of playlists in the description box as well that allocates content between two sister channels that I run. One is 𝗖𝘀𝗵𝗔𝗽 and the other is 𝗖𝘀𝗵𝗃 that may or may not mean anything for you or to you. Again, that in regards to the reading, feminine and masculine energies are non-gender specific. However, femininity encapsulates both feminine and masculine energies, and masculinity as well encapsulates femininity and masculinity. This is for whomever and whatever brings you here. Love variant reading. It would help some people's coping skills to take something as small as a post-it note and write out wishes versus desires. They land differently in the ether. You can truly feel where the energy is. They don't want me to show you this. You can truly feel where the energy is. Yeah, they don't want me to tell you this. They want you to find out on your own. They want you to understand what feeling is. What we all share in what way or another and have in common is ability to disclose that there is such a thing. However, what it is unique to yourself. And that is a reflection still of who you are. Then there's something more or less behind it. Like that Five of Cups, there's something behind it. You have the golden coin of opportunity within you, and if you have it within you, then you have externally of you as well. Should you be in an emotional disagreement to that message, then you may not have an understanding of all aspects of your corners of that of which it is you are, starting with everything that's hidden behind your skin and having a beautiful relationship that you don't really get to see through your skin. And that is a prize in and of itself, as much as it may and house curiosity. Curiosity, if you have ever had that thought before, or if this is like just somewhere that comes knocking into your stratosphere of thinking now, like, whoa, I never thought about that, you know? Some of you are navigating a hands-on approach to what self-care, self-love, self-transaction, self-perspective, self-illusion, self-delusions, self-narrative, everything having to do with self. You're taking a more hands-on approach to it, which is great. It allows all aspects of your inner cellular activity to be and become engaged. And that is a really great baseline, okay? Like, she is proud on what she's holding on to. She's gratuitous, and she recognizes all and anything around her that gives her this moment of self-recognition and appreciation, non-gender specific. All notions, dealt with or not dealt with, teeter to how well your relationship may be with others. And when I said self-transaction, self-care, self-illumination, self-delusions, illusions, look what comes up. The Hanged Man. The currency of that. Knowing that what seems far-fetching as to being the grounded aspect of security is already in your aptitude. It's already there. What's maybe missing is the ability to touch it. That's why headaches hurt so much, because you can't get in there and be like, let me, you know? But essentially you actually could. You could get some pressure points. You know, what might be different is the pace of time and the need to pay attention to that focus to expedite the idea of healing. And that philosophy is taking stranglehold, literally, quite literally, onto yourself here. Stranglehold coming through from the Hanged Man being on the cross, okay? And that is braided into anything that you hold value to and on, even if it's a connection that you're questioning. You're questioning that connection because you have unanswered questions of your own. Six of Swords to Ten of Swords. It's not that there isn't worthiness or a sense of, it's not that there's no sense of worthiness in the coin aspect of the coincidence, or any coincidences of that matter. Yet it's interesting when teetering efforts are being unaddressed by understanding you're just constantly, you're weaving your way through like a dog run, like weaving your way through here, knives. And it's 10 times more dangerous and difficult to do this if you don't calculate it well, that accidentally touching them will leave marks and could essentially have you bleed out. And that's the essential elephant in the room, that you're bleeding out of exhaustion, of distress. Some of you want to take anything and everything that's attached to duress and bring it to a place of healing, starting with the mind. It starts there. It starts in allowing the emotions to bleed and everything being open in an open dialogue at a round table where everyone is inclusive, where everyone will be seen and heard and acknowledged for feeling the penetration of however pain shows up for them to feel. Because mind you, there are some people who don't feel at all pain. Or even emotions. So is it a requirement if some people don't have that in life? Are they the outliers and the outcasts just because they don't have something that a larger denomination of a statistical average do? Does that make them weaker just because there's a number that's higher or more massive than them? Quite the contrary. I think that's the beauty and the disguise of what the Hangman is trying to also say, is taking up space in everything that we share. And what you think is your big sense of worship is cheap for somebody else or not the same value. Maybe their sense of worth is tied to something else. Also, people spend their money differently. Said, the individuality of self is what's interesting to and for people to really begin having an engagement with, okay? Because you're learning what the good things can come from the things that you can't see. Because if you're forced in a narrative of where you can't see to be forced what you can see, it's like being out in the wilderness at nighttime. You're like, all right, I can't see like 10 feet ahead of me, but I can definitely see like 10 centimeters in front of me, so I will deal with this. And I won't be so just focused on this, but I'll understand that me focusing on this will have me automatically concerned with over here, because I also already understand that the fear of not knowing what I see over here will be made clear to me as I focus on what's here. And that's to have a relationship with however you decide to label that relationship for yourself in this journey of life. Whether that's a relationship with a god or a deity or a certain vernacular tongue and preaching the word of such and all that jazz. Everyone's different word is also the way that mini chaoses can occur, right? Because if I say tomato, you can say tomato, and I'm like, I said tomato, and then you'll say, all right, well, I said tomato. And then maybe that could be a war. Why is it not tomato? Well, why is it not tomato? Everyone has their own uniqueness that's important, because maybe it's also part of the riddle, the rhyme, and the reason, and the chaos needed to make something else what it is. Maybe your debacle that you think is a problem all the fucking time is mercy for somebody else. Thank you very much. You keep being over here so that I can be over here. But in going back again to feeling more communal is knowing that self going in is self coming out. And that's where you're adapting that philosophy in perhaps healing what needs to be healed, or addressing unaddressed things, to kind of reignite and bring a little fun and dance to things, you know. I'm hearing ascension symptoms, okay? Ascension symptoms are the root of the cause of why you're being triggered to make a decision on something. It's not necessarily disease that this is implying to. It's not also ignoring that you may be suffering from some chronic ailment or an ailment of some kind. That's not it. Lovers. Independency is a name of knowing discernment, because that discernment journey is of your own doing, right? It's knowing how the more or less, in practical terms, I set up the reading with feminine and masculine energy or non-gender specific. Femininity encapsulates both feminine and masculine energy, and masculinity encapsulates both feminine and masculine energy. The viewpoint of acknowledging that is your masculine self, to understand that masculinity is split. To make that transaction of showcase is the card itself. That's the feminine aspect of the energy. Duality. That's feminine and masculine energy showing up in the various ways I'm explaining it to you, in the way that it's concerning you. In the way that it concerns you, and your acknowledgement to all that multidimensional ways of possibility, and your way of attaching yourself to that symbolism is your relationship to the symbolism of the major arcana, feminine and masculine energies, which in the appeal of love is one of the cards you want to have show up to give you courage and empowerment that, whatever I just felt inside is whatever that is. And you either like it or don't like it. You have a relationship with the imageries at hand, whether or not you know what this means, whether you understand tarot, whether you like or dislike tarot, whether you're still like hesitant of it, whether you want things only for free or you want to pay your money for things, whether you want to show time and attention where you only take 2 seconds in, whether you speed shit up or slow things down. Everything is ugly. Like, it's however you want to rock. However you want to rock and roll with it. There's so many things to unpack with this shit, because it's all your multiple layers, and myself included, of the way that we can be emotive or not emotive with each other, and how in doing that we either have healthy relationships or not healthy relationships, or relationships that just teeter in the spectrum of both, and that seems to be like all right, yeah, I need the good and the bad, because that's the both sides of the coin, and no matter which side of the coin you look at, how is it to be determined what is the back of the coin, the tail end, and what is the front? Just because the front has a picture of a face doesn't mean it's necessarily heads. Why isn't the eagle in the back the heads? Since it has a head view, it has an aerial view, it has a higher viewpoint. There's so many ways that you can bring argument, discussion, differences, competition, challenges to this table, and be able to react to it. You're meant to react to one another. You're meant to react to one another. How you show up to the accountability of that reaction is how well the longevity of that transaction of one to whomever is tied to that, the root of the relation of who you are. How well you keep yourself together, and how well and honest you are to that relationship is how well and is however long and well the relationship it is that you're also then in that same time, same moment across space and time connected to. It's really the sensory intake that can be a lot for the engine within to process, right? And at the end of the day, to share space and time with someone is a gift, and it's supposed to nurture, and not a nurture where someone has to necessarily give themselves something to you, or vice versa. It's more so that their existence unapologetically gives themselves naturally to you, and vice versa. That's the idealism, I think, that is attached to the ego being hungry to figure out whether or not you are in a soulmate journey, whether you are on a divine counterpart journey, whether you are in a karmic situationship, whether you are in a true soulmate relationship, or that doggone controversial label of twin flames, which, yes, there's karmic and then there's also divine. So it's best to stay right here, right here with self, and be loyal to that, because it's already hard to fulfill that unapologetically. And then be open and available for someone else journeying the same, or the way that you would like to be participatory in being in the audience of that. Because once you can shape it in the perspective of fantasyism or imagination, that will teeter in and of itself whether or not you're going to resonate with that message, whether you're single or partnered, divorced, married, whatever. To be yourself is unique. To be yourself is your own apologetic sense of free will. And knowing that through the passing of time, free will is not something that is, one, cheap or even free. Nothing in that regards of what is to mean gratuitous of something or even feel betrayed by something is transactionless. It definitely fucking leaves a mark. And that is an influence. Like I said, when I said, be in this is the best right here. This narrative is the best one to keep in check, to keep asking if it's okay, if it needs something, if it requires something, if it needs to leave something, if it needs to change something up. This is the best. And when this needs resources, then it needs to focus on its requirements so much that other resources show up and say, I have something that I think in me being will fulfill something within you. Because the sun card here is showing up here. You're yourself, as I'm about to sneeze. Whew. That's how real it is. All right. Everyone has a healing touch. For most of the individuals, desire to be touched. It doesn't mean to be sexual, but intimacy of being close to something other than you. And that's to be close to the sun. God damn. Look how close to the sun you are within the infinity of being in between a rock and a hard place. Amazing. Your inner scientist, your inner physicist is being triggered, making sense of conditional versus unconditional love. the mitochondrial DNA latching on to what it truly desires, because that's the feminine energy, right? That kind of is in all. Has its own unique energy. And only feminine, I think, at that. Mitochondrial DNA. Instead of the man in the moon, you can see the silhouette of a lady in the moon. Oh, I like it. I like it. Your pain, what you think is your misery, is shaping itself through closer and closer to being the other side of the moon that you just don't scientifically can ever figure out. But that doesn't mean your subconscious hasn't done so already. This is nice. Where the emotions are taking in the rays of sunshine, and your logic is gonna just get that song and dance here. Gonna get that sense of euphoria, a rejuvenation, just because of holding on to pain, because pain is a good motivator. But it's how you hold on to it, how you let it speak for itself, yeah? That it can wash away the pain of stress that's caused by your mental that you think you don't see. But if you just give yourself that embrace, you'll be able to, quote unquote, see it. Justice. You don't yet maybe see in regards to the 𝗖𝘀𝗵𝗔𝗽 energy here, her energy coming through. Yep, look at that. Two of Swords coming through. You're not meant to see exactly. Yeah, everything is not meant to be at full disclosure to you here. The tip of the sword is cut. Okay, so whether it's been accidentally, and I say cut because it's the illusion of being cut, but it's actually, if you look very, very close, it's in full picture. But with the lines here, it makes it seem like something is part of the sword, and it being not there, and like the tip of the situation is not there. You have to look really close to the situation. And something, it's like I was almost here to give the illusion, is she peeking through or not? Like, is she truly not seeing, or is she seeing actually her hands? Like, she's not really actually being blindfolded. It's just a facade, or maybe there's sunglasses, some spacey sunglasses, right? So, like, there's something not exactly meant to be in full disclosure to you. However, it does not disclose that full disclosure is not prevalent or within you already, or within the stratosphere of knowing, or like just here. Doesn't mean that truth isn't here. It just means maybe you need a few more truths in order to get to the honesty. So how does that tie into this whole love reading thing, right? Okay, interesting. We have the Five of Swords. So I think maybe the more you let other people come in and influence your relationship, the more you lose narrative on the exact scripture on how to show up to your own story. Because now you have other people, other characters coming in and like adding their ad-libs to your version of a story. And then the more they do that, the reader of the whole book is getting lost and further away from your story. Because what may or not be happening is that you don't know if you can trust every person's version of their story, or their influence of their life into yours, or into your story. You know, and so, Getting a little existential crisis energy from this one a bit. Okay, anyway. So the more you influence other people or have other people's concerns and fears, be a concern of whether or not you should feel empathy towards them, the more you're also not addressing the concern that you're not addressing to the things that you need to bring an answer to, perhaps. So that's the teetering problem. Yeah, Ace of Swords. So that's the teetering problem with maybe not being able to see things clearly. But essentially, there's something within the reading that's keeping you here and interested, right? And that's where the Ace of Swords comes in symbolism. Say, well, that's because you have the proof of the pudding. You are the proof of the pudding. You are the seer that can see through this. Okay, you can air things out. You can bring communication to the situation. Oh, death card. Yep. You can bring an end to the situation, death card. At the same time, while you think you can't, it shall be done anyway. Yeah, judgment. And then what you'll finally recognize is, oh, okay. And then whatever narrative comes after the oh, okay, is how much you know whether or not you learned something new or not. If you feel like you've learned nothing new, then you have to go digging a little bit deeper. If that means showing up to more conversation with yourself and others, then do so. You do value other people's input, so I'm not saying cut yourself off from conversation and external voices, but do understand boundaries enough that you have a sense of commitment of what you will internally show up to for yourself, that is in alignment what you think or what you think your destiny is, and make manifest to it. While you learn maybe of making mistakes, you know, and showing up to the mistakes and having honest conversation. I'm hearing honest conversation will give you more honest stability in the material world here. Whatever that may mean. Okay. Wow. Does it just give us part of fortune, prosperity? Look at that. That's amazing. After that message. Motivation, number 37, waxing crescent. Wow. Luck, Jupiter. Bird, what, 23? Yeah, 23. And the last one. Beautiful. Relationships, Juno. So whatever this reading meant for you is what it can also bring to the relationships. It's beautiful. Alright, with that being said, I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space, and may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.